All right. Hello, everybody, and everybody that has been coming over from Periscope. I really appreciate you coming to my YouTube channel. I am Kevin Austin Keegan, and I'm the owner and founder of No Big Secret Yoga and Astrology, where we try to combine yoga and astrology to help you become aware of your own subconscious proclivities called samskaras through the Vedic astrology birth chart. So, in light of recent events in Florida, I did a little bit of this on my newscast yesterday, but I wanted to talk a little bit about the astrology of violence. And there's stars that are associated with violent tendencies, and so you need to keep in mind that this is going to be a very general presentation. So if you're actually doing a consultation for somebody, or if I'm doing a consultation with somebody, you have to keep in mind that every chart has a particular context, okay? So what I wanted to do is, cover a few things. It's actually more than just a star. So there's fixed stars that are associated with violence. There's also planets that show, and one particular planet that shows violent tendencies. And also, too, I'm going to tell you the zodiac signs that have a proclivity toward violence. So starting off right away, this is the picture of the man that shot up the school yesterday. I think his name was Benjamin Cruz. I might have that wrong. But I tried to find his birth chart because we look at this guy's face, and I really wanted to see, was there any of these particular stars or aspects in his chart that might show somebody that has a proclivity to violence. Because when you look at a chart, there you can really see it where somebody, how they express their anger plays a huge influence in how they are as a person, right? So the first one I want to talk about is Algol. Okay, so Algol is probably the most violent star, and it's one of the most, it's the least auspicious star in the sky. However, it really depends on what planet that you have conjunct Algol. So this is located from 2 to 3 degrees in Taurus, right? And this is the sidereal or Vedic zodiac. Now, if you don't follow the Vedic zodiac, it's 27 to 28 degrees in Taurus, or the tropical zodiac, all right? The tropical zodiac is basically used by the Greek or the Western astrologers, and the sidereal zodiac is used by the Indian astrologers. When I give a consultation, I use the sidereal zodiac because I found it to be way more accurate than the tropical zodiac. However, the tropical zodiac is not without its merit. It's actually great for studying the subconscious mind, whereas I think the Vedic zodiac, they really have it hammered down because there's additional things in Vedic astrology that are dependent on using the sidereal zodiac that can't be changed if you go to tropical, okay? So this is associated with the head of Medusa. So if you look at the constellation, it's in the constellation Perseus, and this is the one where he's holding up Medusa's head and she's all like, ah, or whatever, right? And so this is associated with losing one's head. Figuratively, it's also associated with beheadings and assassinations. So how this plays out is if you have the planet Mars, or your midheaven, or your ascendant conjunct this particular point in the sky, you need to be very careful about how you express your anger and opinion because and this is actually too related to Donald Trump. Donald Trump has his midheaven here. And when you look at Donald Trump, he takes things very, very personally. We don't have a guy, he's not a very easygoing guy. So what you need to be aware of is that this can also show when it comes to assassinations, really when there's Mars is conjunct this particular fixed star in the sky, it shows a probability of an assassination, especially too when it's aspected by another planet like the south node of the moon, okay? And when those come together in a conjunction and they're on this fixed star, it's almost, I'm not going to say a slam dunk because there's obviously other factors, but it's a very good indicator of some sort of assassination. But of course, you have to look at people's birth charts in order to get a more detailed picture, okay? So then Pollux is located at 23 degrees Gemini. I'm sorry, that is a mistake. It's actually located at 29 degrees Gemini. Sorry about that. Oops. Oh well. I'm a noob at I'm a noob at YouTube here, so I'm trying to get this better. So it's actually located at oops. I'm sorry. We'll give that away. So Noob noob. It's located at 29 degrees of Gemini in the sidereal zodiac. And then in the tropical zodiac, it's now at 24 degrees of Cancer. So when I like to explain the difference between the tropical and the sidereal zodiac, I like to use the Gemini twins, which are Castor and Pollux, as an example. So anyway, so the let's see, the history behind Pollux is he's the fighter of the Gemini twins, and Castor was more of the artistic type. So this shows a tendency to literally get into fights, physical fights. Now, I have my Mars conjunct Pollux, and I will tell you that I have never been in a physical fight in my life. And the reason why is my Mars is retrograde. So this kind of shows the importance of looking at all of the factors in the chart. So if you actually, so for me, I'm an Aries ascendant, right? And my Mars, this actually puts it at the highest degree, which is called the Atmakaraka in Vedic astrology in the Jaimini system, right? And so really one of my lessons that I needed to learn in life was nonviolence. But however, this shows up in it. So you have to look at the house too. So this is in my third house. So I tend to like to debate people, right? So people pick intellectual fights with me. My ego gets a little bit bigger, and I'm just like, all right, let's take this to the mat because I'm going to prove how much smarter than you I am, right? Even though I may not be, but we all have our little funky quirks. So the next one we have here is Antares. Now, this one is a particularly strong one, and yesterday, actually 2 days ago, Mars was conjunct Antares. So when Mars conjuncts Antares or Algol or Pollux, there is a high probability of extra violence in the world. So what did we see the last couple of weeks? We saw Israel pretty much go ape poop on Iran and Iran go ape poop on Israel. Let's see, we also had the school shooting in the United States. So lots of violence. And see, Antares, though, it kind of works in, it's kind of the star of generals and warfare. So it is the stinger of the scorpion. It's associated with war and the starting of wars, like the generals. This is the, you know what? We're going to have a passionate cause. We're all going to rally behind the cause, and we're going to go to war. So this is the start of war. It's Antares means the opposite of Aries, and really this shows warfare in general, which is associated with violence. But this is kind of like when you look at things from a mundane perspective. This one is kind of the one where you look at battle, okay, like battle between armies. It's very particular in the way the violence shows. Where when I was talking about Algol earlier, that's kind of like people losing their minds and going crazy and causing violent tendencies. And Pollux is literally about fighting. That's kind of more of a person-to-person type fighting. So now, which planet is associated with violence? I've been talking about it. Mars. Mars has many, many significations, okay? But it does represent violence, fighting, bloodshed. Mars is the god of war, okay? He's the god of action. Really, wherever Mars is in a chart, that's how you express your anger. So, I mean, here it says Mars represents violent actions and how anger is expressed in your chart. Now, if Mars is an exalted or mula tricone sign, which means it's home sign, which in this case, I believe, yeah, it's Aries, and Scorpio's third, it shows direct action, okay? Now, if you have a debilitated Mars in your chart, it shows a tendency to hold back anger and then erupt. This is specifically, you see this when Mars is in Cancer, or if Mars is retrograde, because a retrograde takes this energy and turns it inward. So they're steaming inside, but you'll never show it, okay? And now if you have a retrograde Mars too, I tell this to people in consultations, you have to be very careful about expressing, you have to express your anger. You can't not express your anger. And if your Mars is retrograde, this can cause health problems, all right? Now, this also too, if Mars is in conjunction or aspect with any other planets, it's going to bring its influence to that planet. So if Mars is conjunct Jupiter in Vedic astrology, this is called a Guru Mangal Yoga, and it's actually a good thing. It actually shows that Mars, the active influence, is brought under the influence of Jupiter, which is wisdom, so really it's wise action. And these are people that are very independent, but they're very smart about how they act in the world. When Mars comes in contact with Saturn, that's a very violent combination, because you have two alternate energies that don't work in each other's interest. So Saturn is restrictive, hard, hardworking and disciplined, and Mars is like, no, let's get this done now. And so when you bring these together, it creates a conflict, right? When Mars comes together with Venus, you have this planet that's all about love and beauty and hippie shit, and then you bring in Mr. Mars here, and it's like, no, let's go and do funky stuff and whatever. Um, I'm funny too, by the way. I fancy myself. I am a comedian, by the way. So anyway, Mars brings its influence to all these planets. I guess that's the whole point I'm getting at. So, which signs are the most violent? All of them, right? That was a trick question. So you have been clicked. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm checking my computer. You have been clickbaited. Each chart needs to take into account the individual placements in order to gain a clear picture of psychological tendencies. This is why I wanted to look up the shooter's chart, because everybody has Mars in their chart. Mars shows how they express violence. So if you have violence, if you have Mars in your first house in Aries, you are a person of action, you're athletic, you're into sports. If Mars is in your fourth house, in the sign of Cancer, you're going to hold back your anger, especially too when it comes to the mother too, because fourth house. So you really need to take into account the whole chart, every aspect and every placement. And that's why when you look at this, you should see booking a consultation should be below. I believe I put that in there. If not, go to nobsyoga.com and click on book a consultation. All my consultations are one-on-one with you over the phone. You're allowed to ask pretty much any question you want. We'll go over anything that you would like. It's your time, so I want you to get the best reading possible. Okay, so all right, everybody, thank you, kindly thank you for checking me here out on YouTube. The videos, like I said, are a little rough. I'm still getting the hang of editing them, but for now I'm going to end it here. And hey, you know what, stay safe out there. All right.